It's been a minute, but I'm back. And today they're always special guests, but I have a very special guest who is a Renaissance man. He has worn many hats in his career. You can see him most recently on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Please welcome the amazing, legendary Ken Takemoto.
I don't see it. Thank you so much, Stella, for that wonderful complimentary introduction.
We met, over 25 years ago, something like that, for the East-West Players Pacific Overtures.
Right. I can see the scene vividly in my mind.
Before we get into all of the memories, let's start. What kind of Asian are you?
I'm very Hawaiian. I grew up in Hawaii.
Okay.
And I feel very close to Hawaii no matter how long. I've lived in LA longer than I lived in Hawaii, but I'm still, I call myself a Hawaiian Asian. Yeah.
You were born in Hawaii.
Right.
You grew up there.
Yeah, I went to the University of Hawaii.
Okay.
And as soon as I graduated, the next day I left for LA with a couple of my friends because we were art majors. And back in the 50s, there wasn't much going on in Hawaii but pineapple, military, sugarcane, and tourism,
Yeah. What was it like growing up in Hawaii back in the 40s?
Oh, well, the 40s were a little difficult because, the Second World War started.
Yes.
And I was there. I was about 7.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, there was a lot of name calling. People were sent into internment camps, fishermen, teachers, principals, community leaders, Buddhist monks were all sent into internment camps in Hawaii. They had 3 internment camps on Oahu alone. And so the name calling started, and then we had to wear masks, gas masks. We had blackout. We had to blacken all our windows. We had curfews. We had food rations. All the beaches were barbed wired. We couldn't go to the beach. Because my dad was an alien, and there were so many aliens in Hawaii that they couldn't send everybody to camp. But we were on a list of potentially being sent to camp. So we had to be packed. Ours were packed with clothing or whatever. And as soon as the war started, we had to burn our books, magazines, anything that had Japanese writing on it, anything that represented Japanese culture, we had to get rid of, out of the house. So we burned everything. So we had no Japanese culture for about, the length of the war and maybe a few years after. And then we also stopped speaking Japanese. So, I would only speak to my grandmother inside of a house, Japanese, because she didn't understand English. But so we rarely spoke Japanese, so I completely lost my Japanese. But with all that, the most scariest thing for me was, because my dad was an alien, I don't know who they did this to, but I guess they were the FBI, men in civilian clothes, would knock on our door like maybe 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and come into the house after we opened the door and ransack the whole house, open your dresser drawers, pull everything out, go through the closet, throw everything down, look in your cabinets, throw everything. They ransacked the whole house and left. I guess they were looking for shortwave radios or anything that, said that you were loyal to the Japanese. But that was really scary, like at 2 in the morning, they just come in and start going through your whole house. Yeah, that was the scariest thing.
What would you call yourself? What has your career included?
I spent most of my life for 35 years an art teacher with LA Unified.
I didn't know that.
35 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, basically that has been my career.
Well, East-West Players was, I'm sure, I don't know, was it a big part or a small part? I don't know.
It became a very big part in my retirement years because I slowly transitioned into East-West in my last few years of teaching,
Mhm.
and I started auditioning in my last few years of teaching.
Yeah.
Everything that we're talking about, acting, costume design, prop master, are things I have never done before and never had training for. I just slowly transitioned into it by watching and being very lucky to be offered jobs in propping, costuming, and acting. I was very interested in theater, so I used to go see shows at East West.
Mhm.
Then I got a flyer saying, oh, they were having a summer workshop, that taught acting, dance, whatever. So I
Mhm.
thought, oh, let me go see what this is about. So I called and I said, I'm interested in your summer session, but how old are most of the students? And she goes, oh, 18 to 35. I go, oh, never mind, because I was already way in my 50s. She said, oh, no, 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 no. We have scholarships. So I go, oh, okay, I'll take a chance on that.
When did you then dip your toe into acting?
Okay, my last 11 years of teaching was at 32nd Street Visual Performing Arts Magnet School by USC.
Okay.
So I was a teacher there. And so somehow most of the teachers had some connection to the arts, right?
Mhm.
So the teacher who taught video, his wife was a casting person, and she told her husband,
So
we're doing
LA.
this Stevie Wonder music video, and we just can't we need one older Asian man to be one of the gangsters. So she said, do you know anybody? So he said, well, there's an older guy at our school. I'll ask him. And he said, I guess since there's no lines, it's okay, right? It's a music video. So he asked me, I said, oh, hey, yeah, I'll give it a try. So I went and I did it. And it was so much, for me, it was so much fun and they liked me. So, and I just found that in that business, for some reason, everyone was so courteous. People say, thank you, please. And, the whole crew. So I thought, hey, I want to be around these people. And the craft service was so great. I want to be there for sure. It all adds up to yes.
In your lifetime and in your experience, how do you feel like your racial identity, how do you feel like it's played a part in who you are?
In Hawaii, I never gave it any thought, especially after the war.
Mhm.
By then I was maybe 9 or 10. Yeah. But once I came here, I had no clue, having grown up in Hawaii. Like
Mhm.
when we came from the university, we started looking for apartments, right?
Mhm.
And so we would see the ads. I would go, and there were quite a few places that says they don't rent to Japs. And one place I went, the woman absolutely shocked me. She said, I don't rent to Japs. You bombed.
Oh my
You
God.
bombed my people. And she said, no, I'm not renting to you guys. By the time I kind of got used to it, got a little bit, I said, I lived in Hawaii. Now you know that. But I was there and there were bombs falling on where I was living. So why does it make me guilty of being the bad person? I said, besides, many civilians died. There's not much information on this.
Mhm.
But because the American aircraft was shooting at the planes, if it didn't hit the plane, it had to come down. So sometimes it came down where the civilians lived.
Mhm.
So I had a classmate who died in one of those anti-aircraft bombs that came back down.
Mhm.
I said, you know, you have the nerve to say that. And besides, I don't want to live here. I just became so aware of it. I just became
Yeah.
more self-conscious of what I looked like, or
Mhm.
wherever I went. And
Mhm.
yeah, so that made that awareness in me, which I never
Yeah.
had.
Is there any words of advice to a young person who wants to pursue acting?
Be patient. Look at me, I'm 87, and I did Falcon and the Winter Soldier when I was 86.
Yes.
Be patient. Be patient. I mean, it'll happen if you know, if you're true to yourself, you be yourself, and you are courteous and respectful, and keep practicing your craft. Have your limits to add to what you will do, you know, especially in this age
Yeah.
where we're trying to, you know, show the people that we represent everything in life. So don't put us in a little block of, you know.